Yes, people, it's LokiMan07 back, and this video is going to be very different from the stuff I usually do. Okay, we're going to look at Persona 5, and I am going to break down some layers to this game. Okay, you'll never see anything like this. This game has many things in it. Okay, it has mythology, psychology, history, philosophy, all sorts of things, just in every turn, every nook and cranny. It has all sorts of occult things in it too, of course. Shin Megami Tensei, if you know anything about that game, that Shin Megami Tensei is based on a book, okay, of the same, well, just called Megami Tensei. And that book is about a boy he was a bit of an emo, right? He's a bit of an outcast, and he you know, starts to evoke demons, okay, to get his revenge on the real world. Alright, and that has spawned through all of the games that Atlus have made under the Shin Megami Tensei moniker, even Persona. And Persona is a little bit more light-hearted than the Megami Tensei series. Thus, instead of having demons, you have personas. Right, but in this video, we're going to break down all of the inspirations for this game. Not every single one of them, because that is actually impossible. I couldn't do it. Right, there's so much, but some really cool stuff that's like in your face, but the more you know, because this game is a the more you know thing. Like, you should at least have caught the biblical aspects. Everybody knows biblical mythology, so yeah, you should at least have caught that there's at least biblical stuff going on in this game. So nothing I'm going to speak about will be anything too crazy. It'll just be the shit that's in the game. Let's go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this video will be a series of 3. This will be the first, and I will go over the main themes of the game, and then all the Phantom Thieves and the inspirations for them and what they represent. It'll take me about 3 videos to do, but in this video we're going to go over a few subjects. Right, the first subject we're going to talk about is the main theme of the game. We're going to be talking about wizardry and witchcraft. Of course, as I explained earlier, that is the main theme of all Shin Megami Tensei games. And we're going to look into that, and how the game has modernized it. Second thing we're going to look at is the color scheme of the game, black and red. Why? And why it's linked into witchcraft, of course, and why it's also linked to Cardinal. Right. And we're going to explain multiple things in these videos. I'm going to be exploring language and, of course, numbers, because arcana represent numbers. I'm going to explain the meaning of words and the meaning of numbers, okay, that are used heavily. So we'll explore the Cardinal Theme and why Cardinal is linked to the word Cardi, which means heart, and you should get a hint of why. You'll hear the word heart so much in this game, it's ridiculous. Okay. Alright, the third thing we're going to talk about is Igor and as above so below principle, which is a main theme of the game also. Then I'm going to start getting into the Phantom Thieves themselves. The first Phantom Theme I'm going to talk about is the lady in red, which is Antakamaki. I'm going to get into her design, the goddess she represents, her card, her tarot card, lovers, what that means, what the number 6 means, since the lovers card is the 6th card, and how that relates to not only Antakamaki's destiny, but all the things that are playing out in the game, why she's a phantom thief, etc., is all linked to this number and this card. Then I'm going to get into one of the most interesting characters in this game, Mona, okay, aka Morgana the Moon. And I'm going to go on a quite a tangent about this character, because the character is very interesting and has a lot of layers. I'm then going to go into the card itself, the number 1 card, the magician card. I'm going to explain, of course, the card itself, and of course what the number 1 actually means. Okay, so all those things will be explored. We'll be looking at all sorts of aspects and how it all relates to the game, and how the game is playing it out and spelling it out just clearly as day, right? We'll look into all of the mythological aspects around these characters. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, people, on a surface level, this game is about a boy called Joker. Well, that's his code name. His real name, which is the name of your choosing, but Joker is just an abused boy, right? Been abused by the systems of man. Okay, he has to go and live with a foster parent, right? Because some guy screwed him over, lied on him, took him to court, right? He's got a lot of vengeful spirit bottled up, as simple as you see that character. Okay, and he moves to a new area to live with his foster parent, has to go to a new school because some guy screwed him over. Okay, and he's got a bad reputation. It's affecting him everywhere he goes. Okay, and he meets up with this young rebel kid, another Japanese kid named Ryuji, who's also a kind of what would you call it, an outcast. Okay, at his school, dyes his hair blonde, and that's how this game is on the surface. Okay, these guys have been screwed over by adults. Their feelings haven't been taken into consideration. They've been used and abused, and this happens in the real world to varying degrees. Okay, so when I say this game is about witchcraft, okay, I don't mean hocus pocus, fairy tale witchcraft. I'm talking about witchcraft, the religion. Okay, the religion of witchcraft and the history of men. Okay, and how witchcraft has played an important part in the history of men, and of course the modern world, and how witchcraft is still very much a part of the modern world. But this game explores all of these themes. Okay, and any witch worth their salt, okay, will tell you that whether you believe in magic or not, okay, doesn't matter, because we're doing it anyway. It's whether you're doing it in ignorance or not. Okay, and this game explores all those themes also. Okay, but the interesting thing about Joker and his crew, and this crew of characters, is that they all they all have the same theme as Ryuji and Joker, where they've all been chewed up, and they don't hold back in this game. Whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, they've all it's all playing out in this game, and these kids want some vengeance. And what happens is these kids get together and do seances. Okay, this game is about kids that literally curse people. Okay, and then this curse, this ritual that they're doing, right? They all go and meet up at this hideout, and they're going to, you know, sit in a circle and perform a ritual. That ritual then starts to affect the astral plane, which in this game is called the metaverse, right? And they curse people through the astral plane. When they meet up, when they perform these rituals, they will always be wearing black and red, guaranteed, right? All of the costumes of the characters in black and red, and I'll go into that in a second, and I'll go into the black and red theme in a second, right? First thing Ryuji and Joker do when they start messing with these powers, and let me tell you the genius of Atlas, right? Everything I'm saying has been modernized, right? So, say for example, a witch would have a book of spells. Well, in this game, it's been modernized. We don't carry books around, we carry smartphones around. So the smartphone and the navigation app, which has the Eye of Horus on it, this navigation app is the replacement for the book of spells. Okay, that's how good Atlas are with this stuff. They are not playing around. Okay, so as I was saying, the first thing Ryuji and Joker do is acquire a spirit animal, which is played by Morgana in this game. All witches have a spirit animal, and most likely their spirit animal for high level witches is a cat. As you can see, this is the role of Morgana in this game. Okay, Morgana is just a spirit animal cat. You'll see the trope in fairy tales of witches having a black cat. Well, Morgana is playing that role. Due to art style, of course, Morgana is a black cat with white patches on here and there. But yeah, Morgana is just the witch's black cat. I will get into individual characters, their inspirations, what they represent, why Morgana represents feminine energy, even though he is a boy, and he also represents the moon, of course. That's why both of his names translate to moon. But let's get more into this inspiration of witchcraft in Persona 5. Okay people, if you look at what is on the screen right now, it's a book called Witchcraft and Magic in Europe, Volume 1, Biblical and Pagan Societies. Okay, it was published in 2001. Okay, as you can see, the artwork on the cover follows the same motif, right? The color scheme as Persona 5. This is because red and black is quite important in witchcraft. You start off with the wearing white, of course, for innocence, then black, and then of course you can ascend by unlocking the fire aspect within the self, and therefore wear the black and the red. This is also the same practice that is used in the Catholic Church, okay, where a cardinal would wear black and red. And of course the cardinal is the keeper of doorways. Joker is also the keeper of doorways. I'll give you an example. Netflix's Sabrina, okay, she represents a high level witch. If you ever watch that show, when she ascends, she starts to wear red all of a sudden when she unlocks the fire in her heart, okay. And I mentioned the cardinal earlier, wearing black and red, and the keeper of doorways. There is a link linguistically to this, unlocking the cardinal state. As you can see, cardinal also has the same root as cardio, which means the heart, which is where you get the phantom thieves of hearts from. None of this is random, okay? None of this is random. This game is very, very intelligent. Yes, people, I feel like I need to explain myself a little more. Like, I'm not talking out my arse here, okay? I'll explain to you how Cardinal becomes the keeper of hearts and the keeper of doorways. So let's look into let's break this word down, and I'm going to tell you how some occult secrets here, okay. The occult is very secretive, okay, and the occult is so secretive that things that have maintained occult status through the word religion in modern day, they still hold on to occult practices that you would be considered heretical, because the people that were calling everyone else heretics were doing the same things that I'ma do it, but you can't, so the power lies with me. And I'll explain some history and some wordplay to you. So cardio, okay, so the before vowel cardi, word forming element meaning pertaining to the heart, from Latinized form of Greek cardea, meaning heart, from the PIE root curd, heart, okay. Now thing about the word curd, cardi, and cardia, when it comes to cardi, it says pertaining to the heart, okay. So the cardi part of cardinal is pertaining to the heart. And if you think this is random, okay, it says from Latinized form of Greek. Who was Latinizing Greek? Okay, it's the Catholic Church. Cardinal, chief prevital, early 14th century, from Latin cardinalis, principal, chief, essential, a figurative use, literally pertaining to a hinge. You hear that? Pertaining to a hinge. From cardo, genitive, cardinis, that on which something turns or depends, pole of the sky, originally door hinge, which is of unknown origin, related to cardinally. Okay, so cardinal is pertaining to door hinge. And you can hear the Joker described in this as well, like that's on which something turns or depends, pole of the sky. Now if you watch if you play this game, Joker is literally that on which something turns or depends, the whole game, okay, right? Amazing stuff, okay. Now let's get into this doorway thing. Ever heard of the term the eyes are the window to the soul? Well, that phrase that has managed to find itself in the modern world is part of a much larger phrase of the ancient world, with the eyes are the window to the soul, but the heart is the doorway. And as you can see, it says originally door hinge, which is of unknown origin. Well, the origin is witchcraft, okay. The origin is literally the occult, where the door to the soul is the heart. The cardinal is the keeper of hearts slash doorways. Okay. So it's all about the heart, because Joker is a cardinal. A cardinal unlocks the hearts of men. And when I say keeper of doorways, I mean the keeper of doorways to the spirit world. Weirdly enough, in this game, you are technically the protagonist, okay? But you are disorder. The energy that you're trying to perpetrate onto society is disorder, rebellion. Okay. This is why when you go to the Velvet Room, all of a sudden the color scheme changes. Everything is blue. Okay. Everything is liberal. Okay. And of course, ego is the intermediary between man and the gods. Okay. And he's the intermediary between for the liberal god. Okay. Yaldabaoth is playing the god of order, El. Okay. Yahweh. Okay. So anyway, ego being the medium between mankind and gods is a role that is in this reality is played by the Pope. And the Pope literally just means pop or papa, maybe father. And when you go back into the ancient world, this role is actually played by a deity called Papa Legba. Okay. And that's who ego represents. Okay, the intermediary between man and the gods. And the ego sets his cardinal about changing the cognition of his followers. You will find that Joker, just like Loki, is a shapeshifter. Okay. And how that is playing out in the real world is that Joker can galvanize people. He can get people to come to his cause. He's like a good pastor, a good imam, or what have you, priest. Okay. But in the cognitive world, Joker is able to summon various personas, which are just deities that exist in mankind's cognition. Right, it's a really good premise, an idea. It's not exclusive to this Persona game. It's how all of the Persona games are, I gather. But so that is the role of the wild card, and the role of ego. So what is this about the heart? Okay. One of the main principles in occultism that this video game follows is the principle of as above so below, as within so without. Okay. And what is going on within the hearts of people is bleeding into reality, and or what is happening into reality is bleeding into the cognition. It's like the snake biting its own tail type thing. But either way, the whole form of this curse is to change the thought processes of the person to then affect the physical world. So people, I hope that makes sense. Above being reality, below being mementos. Both of those worlds are concurrent and moving at the same time, and the things that are happening in mementos are affecting the real world, and the things that are happening in the real world are affecting mementos, causing an infinite loop where you know, this is how the Phantom Thieves can affect each side by actions in either side. For example, opening the door in reality affecting the cognition in the astral plane, or the goals of the Phantom Thief, which is to change the thought processes of a person, then affecting the physical world, cursing them, affecting their destiny, making them be their own downfall type of thing. Really interesting, right? Just by making them confess. And so now I'm going to get into the Phantom Thieves themselves. I will now start to talk about Anne. Let's get into this, people. In this game, you have the character Anne Takamaki, okay, or as I like to call her, Anne Takamaki, because I'm a weeb, okay. And check this out though. Obviously, Anne is the Catwoman, okay, and her code name is Panther. She wears a suit that is pretty much like Catwoman's from Batman, right? And let me tell you something about Catwoman from Batman, okay. Catwoman is based on a goddess called Selene, right? And that's where Catwoman gets her name from, Selena Kyle, right? The goddess Selene, right? And the goddess Selene has always been associated with cats, right? Because the gods and goddesses of specific cultures, okay, especially in newer cultures like the Greeks, all these goddesses are related, okay. They're all connected. They all are based on the same entity, and that entity is the moon, okay. And the moon being the divine feminine principle, and there are three feminine principles. Of course, the earth itself, Gaia, Luna, Mona, Sin, whatever you want to call her, Isis, the moon, and of course Venus, Ishtar, etc. But the gods can get a bit confusing. Well, this will blow your mind. In Egyptian culture of the second dynastic period, you have Bastet, okay, who is Selene is based on. Let's have a look at Bastet. 1 second. You see that? Okay, there's your inspiration for the design of Anne Takamaki. And this thing about moon goddesses and femme fatales, they explain it a little to you in the game. See, Carmen, her design looks the way it does for a reason. They go into this reason in class, because they give you that breakdown about femme fatales, and then they bring up the moon goddess. All the moon goddesses have stories of being femme fatales or extremely beautiful, etc., etc. And the ultimate inspiration for these femme fatales is, of course, the Lady in Red, aka Isis, okay, who you will see as the Lady in Red. All of this stuff is super interesting to me, okay. One of the reasons why I will declare that this game is super intelligent, one of the best games I ever played. There's so much intelligence in this game, okay, so much esotericism and occultism. Of course, Shin Megami Tensei is built on the occult, so Of course, this stuff is in the game. Anybody can look at the character of Antakamaki and on the surface level think, hey, that's a sexualized character, which is funny. But you know, the character is intentionally sexualized because, of course, she's based on the moon goddess and, of course, the femme fatale archetype. And the first thing that happens after she takes down Kamoshida is my boy Yusuke over here. He falls victim as she uses her feminine wiles to drop his guard and, of course, to take down my boy Madarame. So yeah, really interesting concepts, really interesting stuff that are played out and written very well, low key. Right, you find that stuff interesting, buckle your seatbelt, let's go. People, never on YouTube we will see a more in-depth character breakdown on any Persona 5 characters than this one. It's probably going to be the best video you've never watched. Okay, right. So obviously in this game all characters are linked like to an arcana, okay, which is, you know, their tarot card, right? And Anne's tarot card is the Lover's card, okay? And I'm going to break down the inspiration of Anne Takamaki and her storyline by reading her arcana for you, okay? And this shit is mind-blowing, okay? Obviously, her arcana is Lovers. Lovers is the number 6. Basically, the number 6 and Lovers, literally Lovers means 6, okay? 6 sharing the root of its sound etymologically to sex, lovers, sex, okay? So we're already getting our first hint of what's going on here, okay? As you can see, the Lovers card looks like this, okay? It's got a deity in between a man and a woman. The woman is next to the tree with a snake, and obviously this kind of looks like the biblical Garden of Eden story. People, I could talk to you for days about this Lovers card and how it's linked to the word hex, which also means 6. Sex being the great hex of mankind, okay? Which is a form of magic that brings about creation. All that weird stuff, right, is occult and means something in this game, okay? And and we're already, you know, we're already getting somewhere here. But let's get back to Persona 5, right? Because obviously, you know, the sex thing. Why is Anne Takamaki, sorry, a member of the Phantom Thieves, right? It's because of sex. What is the cause of her pain? It's when Kamoshida sexually assaulted Shiho. Okay, so it's all linked to the Lover's card. Let's continue. Okay, so people, when Atlas was penning this character down, going through all the concepts, right in this amazing story, okay, a lot of the stuff was already put down for them, as I will show in this works, okay. The Lover's card is an interesting card, okay. As you already know, as I've explained, the design of Takamaki is inspired by divine feminine principle, which is the moon. Her personality is and her fate is inspired by the Lover's card. But here's some interesting things about the Lover's card. The Lover's card represents multiple things. It's very unique, okay, because it's a card that represents dual aspects in one, right? So it represents Mars and Venus, okay. It is ruled over by the planet Mercury, and all of that stuff is also involved in how Anne Takamaki interacts with the rest of the cast. Okay, so first of all, we'll go into the Mars and Venus aspect, right? Okay, Mars is Ryuji, who I will break down later. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. But Mars is Ryuji, so the only character, the only Phantom Thief, right, out of all the Phantom Thieves that know each other since childhood, is Mars. Is the Mars aspect, which will be Ryuji and knows Ryuji from childhood, and of course, being feminine, she represents Venus herself. Okay, this sounds way more complex than it is. Okay, so the Mars and Venus aspect of the card is also represented in the story. Okay, they have a relationship, and of course, the card is ruled over by Mercury. Okay, real interesting. Okay, so what is the other big relationship Anne has in the Phantom Thieves? Well, the initial Mercury card, which will be the Magician, which leads us to segue into Mona. Let's go. People, Mona is one of the most intricate and well thought out characters in this entire game. It is unbelievable, okay, how much thought went into this character. Okay, when we start to go into the roots of the character, I don't know if all this stuff links up because of inspiration and whatever inspiration development team used, or they literally shifted through all of these moving parts, because it's insane, right, how to a T this stuff is, right? Like, check this stuff out. So first of all, Mona, of course, Mona is a female's name. Okay, I don't even think there's a male alternative. Morgan, of course, is the male equivalent of the feminine Morgana. Okay, and you will notice in this game that the gender of Mona comes into question quite a bit, right? I don't know how much the developers were being funny with that one, or if it was like some translation issue. I have no idea. I think they deliberately chose girly names for this character on purpose. Okay, because this character is heavily related to moon energy, and which tends to be interpreted as feminine energy. Also, the god that Mona can be traced to is a moon god. Okay, masculine. All right, but we will get into that in this works. This is where it gets a bit intricate. So first of all, people, you have the magician card, which is the magician himself standing there. He has a pentacle on his table to represent earth, cups to represent water, wands to represent fire, and of course swords to represent air, right? As you can see, he's got the infinity symbol above his head, and and of course he's in the infamous as above so below position. Yeah, so what does all this mean? Okay, first of all, this card is the personification of Hermes in his original form, in a picture, with the infinity symbol above his head representing his consciousness. And all things come from consciousness. Okay, so you're watching me now speaking because somebody had the idea to make the monitor. That comes from somebody's imagination. That whatever device you're using to watch this is from somebody's imagination, and the screen you're using is from someone's imagination. So thought manifests into reality, and that's what this card represents. It is the ace card. It's the beginning of all things. Okay, the interesting thing about this card and how it links to all this Masonic symbology is that it represents the god Hermes. Okay, and the god Hermes is the Greek equivalent of the god Thoth. Okay, and if you break down the roots of Thoth, the word Thoth, you start to get how Morgana came into existence. So check this out. Right, Thoth is the Egyptian god of writing, magic, wisdom, and the moon. He was one of the most important gods of ancient Egypt, alternatively said to be self-created or born of the seed of Horus from the forehead of Set. As the son of these two deities who represented order and chaos respectively, he was also the god of equilibrium and balance, and associated closely with both the principle of Ma'at, divine balance, and the goddess Ma'at, who personified this principle, and who was sometimes seen as his wife. Okay, like it gets into long stuff there, but check this out. Okay, he's supposed to have been self-created or born from Horus's seed and Set's, and born from Set's forehead. Okay, right. So, but in both interpretations of Thoth is respectively thought up. Okay, when I say the seed of Horus, right, that means the will of Horus impregnating the mind of Set creates this new jealous deity. When they basically make deities spawn from random parts of the body, that part of the body is equivalent to the chakra in that area. So he's born from Set's mind chakra, okay, from his forehead, and then in the other alternative version, he's just thought up, he just birthed himself as an idea, and that's because the whole image of Thoth, the whole personification, this god, is about thought. Okay, and like I said about the magician card and consciousness, all consciousness springs from, all matter springs from thought. Okay, or consciousness. Okay, and we're already getting to the meat and potatoes. Where does Morgana come from? Okay, so he comes from the cognitive realm. Even Mementos is the cognitive realm. Okay, it's the dreamscape, the idea world, imagination land, call it what you will. Okay, the ethereal realm, the astral plane. There's so many names. So Morgana was birthed from an ideal, as the game actually explains, just like Thoth. So he's the ace, the number one, the magician card. Awesome stuff. But let's get back into this Mercury aspect. So Morgana is your ace in a hole. If it wasn't for Morgana, the Phantom Thieves wouldn't be able to do shit. Okay, he's the reason, right, that they get from point A to Z in this game, and the game reveals where he comes from at the end and what he is. So let's get into Mercury. Mercury is another name for Thoth and another name for Hermes. Okay, so it's the Roman equivalent. Okay, what we know about Mercury? Okay, he's the intermediary between and communicator between the gods. He's the messenger of the gods. He's the great courier. Okay, it comes down to give that divine message. Okay, well, what is Morgana's purpose? He comes to give Joker the divine message. Okay, and that's what you find out in at the end of the game. The whole purpose of Morgana's existence, everything he's done, his mind frame was thought up to assist the Phantom Thieves. And he's kind of like Neo in the Matrix. Okay, he's the one. Okay, interesting stuff. Of course, he is the one, number one card, the ace card. Okay, but it doesn't even stop there with this character, right? It just goes on and on and on, because of course, just like the Anne, I gotta talk about why is he a cat. Okay, why is Morgana a cat? Because that's not an accident either. Let's go. Well, as I read earlier, Thoth is the Egyptian god of writing, magic, wisdom, and the moon. Okay, and cats are always associated with the moon. Okay, they're associated with feminine energy, which is the moon. Right, women are attracted to cats. Right, can't get enough of them. And vice versa. And so, for some reason, okay, cats are always attributed to the moon. Okay, just like wolves are. Okay, they're attributed to moon and witches. Okay, which is the meat and potatoes of this video. This video is about the Phantom Thieves. As I explained at the beginning, you know, doing witchcraft, some occult things. You know, this game is Shin Megami Tensei, so we know what's going on here, right? So yeah, so so he's a cat because of his association with the moon, and the moon is feminine, thus he represents feminine energy. Okay, so the cat is a cat with a girl's name because of all of that information. Okay, so I presume. Amazing. Okay, now we're gonna have to get back to what I was saying about Antakamaki. Okay, Antakamaki, of course, represents Bastet, or Bastet, how you pronounce that. And Bastet has dominion over the cats. Check this out. Okay, Bastet is the goddess of protection, pleasure, and the bringer of good health. She is also known as the goddess of the moon, and was thought to be the eye of the moon and the eye of Ra. Bastet is still worshipped today, and her protection is believed by some to be cast over modern cats. Okay, so, well, like I said, the relationship between the celestial bodies, right, and the relationships in the game Persona 5, all have similarities. If there's a connection between one aspect and the other, the developers use it to build the relationships between the cast. So for example, Bastet is connected to cats, therefore like has dominion over them. She's like their queen, okay? Therefore Morgana is completely in love with Antakamaki, okay? Just completely simp mode, okay? That is also no accident either. This stuff, like I said in the beginning of the video, most intelligent game I've ever played in my entire life. I cannot believe all this stuff. I was playing this game and was in complete shock at how good this stuff was, okay? People, I'd just like to add something here because I don't think I hit home with my explanation. So I'm just going to get into something here about the word magician and how it links to the word one. The magician is basically the I am, okay? See, the word one is literally the same as the letter I. So the I am aspect of the word one is very important to the magician card, and just how the word six, how it means sex, and it's tied to Anne Takamaki's destiny. I am is tied to Morgana's destiny. Like the whole reason why Morgana's in the Phantom Thieves is to answer the question, who am I? What am I? Who is the I am? So it's just as heavily tied. I thought I'd just throw that in there. Let me continue. So people, there's many layers to Morgana, many layers. It's amazing. I could go on and on, but I can't because it's just ridiculous, right? Like there's so much in this game. But just like the Anne card, I mentioned the number, which is the number 6 equals sex. Well, it's the same for the magician card and the number 1. It also has a meaning. Of course, the number 1 is linked to the word on, okay? The number 1 equals positive. It literally means positive, okay? But of course it also has other layers, okay? So just like with numbers, 0 is void, the void nothing, and once you add 1 to something it becomes tangible, and thus we have the number scheme of 0 to 1, and the binary system, binary code and everything comes from adding a voltage to the void. And of course that is what Morgana represents, okay? So in tarot, the reason why the magician card has it's the only card that has all of the suits in one picture is because the magician card is all probability coming from 1, right? So the rest of the journey of the tarot cards starts with all probability, which is the number 1, and probability, cognitive probability, is what we call magic, okay? So number 1 means mage, okay? I'm gonna tell you some interesting things about the number 1. Magic in the real world takes time and work, we call it all sorts of things like science, invention, and stuff like that. But in the cognitive world, in the dreamscape, magic can be things like you see right in a cartoon, like a man just breathing fire. You get me? Kagebushin no jutsu. Right. So this is where you get imagination. If you look at the word imagination, it contains the word mage, which means magician also, or magic, tied to that word. An image, when you look at an image, I mage, right? So it's taking inspiration in from the physical world to stimulate the imagination world. I don't know how complex that sounds, but it's really simple stuff, right? All this stuff is in the language that we use. We just don't really pay that much attention, right? So even in the real world, the void, the universe as a void, it all started with a +1 to the void, and everything became as it is so, right? And this is why Morgana kind of emulates that principle. When you see his birth, he just spawned into existence as just 1 in the 0, the void being the cognitive realm, the realm that is not tangible yet, okay, with ideas. All right, so he spawned in the void of creation, and found his way to the real world, the solid world, and that explains what is going on with the number 1, magic, etc., and why he's the magician card. In ancient times, a magician would be considered a thinker or a professor, and of course Morgana is the thinker and the professor in the game. Everything that Persona 5 is based on the thoughts of Morgana. So when you're playing the game, he's talking to you like he has a past. He talks about phantom thieves like there's something that already exists, but they're all just ideas, right? There never was any phantom thieves. He says a phantom thief should be this way or that way, based on what? Like, the whole concept, everything that the game encompasses is just the ideas of Morgana, and how to take down Yaldabaoth. Well, it's all just the thoughts of Morgana. So if you ever wonder why the speech from Morgana at the end was really important, that is why. And I said before I started this whole tangent about Morgana and the gods and the cards and etc., what god rules or what planet rules over which card and what god it's connected to, etc., etc. Before I went into all that, I said that Morgana is probably the most intricate and interesting character in the game. But there's a character that rivals Morgana, right? Probably Futaba and Ryuji himself, which I will go into next, okay? But I'm going to have to end this video here. But if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share the video. That would be nice. That would be cool. I will start the next video talking about Ryuji, filling in the rest of the trinity of the game, which is of course Anne, Ryuji, and Morgana. They are all connected for a reason, and I'll get into the other characters and their connections, and you know what the cards are spelling out, and what the planets are spelling out, and how that affects the characters and their interactions in the game. If you find that stuff interesting, stay tuned. Peace out, people.